So let's start off with what you're going to need at first. I'm going to be starting off with my face cast, and then I'm going to be using some paper clay. What I want to do is cut off a small block about the size that I think I'll need to cover enough of the face for the mask shape. Then I'm going to roll it out, lay it out over the mask, and then I'm gently going to press around the eyes and slowly work it around the contours of the face until it's pressed down and it's going to fit on my actual face perfectly once it's dried. Make sure that the edges are pressed down as well. And then after that, what I'm going to be doing is taking a palette knife, and the reason I prefer a palette knife over a normal knife is because they're very flexible, so I can take the end and bend it to go really easily around the corners, and that way you don't have to take little chunks and still end up with these slightly jagged edges. So I'm just going to outline the whole thing, and then at this point I figured I didn't want the forehead to be so big, so I also cut that down as well. Once I've outlined the shape I want, what I'm going to do is take some water, put it in a little pot, and then I'm going to smooth out the edges. You could leave the edges as they are if you want to, but I want the edges to be rounded for myself. After I've rounded out the edges, I'm going to be doing the eyes. I'm also going to be using the same palette knife that I used previously, and what I found the easiest way to do this is just to poke bit by bit and slowly work your way around. If you're one of those people who finds it quite hard to replicate something symmetrically onto the opposite side, one thing you can do is, instead of doing one eye and then the other, is do it at the same time. So make a mark on one side of the face and then do exactly the same thing on the other side. Don't do the whole eye, do it bit by bit and replicate that on the other side, and it makes it a little easier to get things symmetrical. After that, I'm going to be taking a mould and I'm going to be using some ivy leaves, and I'm going to be using the same paper clay that I used for the Masquerade, making a few of those leaves and then figuring out exactly where I want them to be placed on the forehead. Now, I'm not going to be sticking them down now. What I want to do is wait for the Masquerade mask to dry. I'm also going to make sure that I know exactly how I want those leaves to be placed, so that way they can dry in that position. Now that the mask is dry, we're going to start painting it and adding on the leaves. So now what we're going to do is spray paint it. The main colour is going to be black, and then over that I'm going to do a dusting of gold so that you still get that slight shimmer. And I've also spray painted the ivy leaves gold, and now I'm going to replace them, and I'm going to glue them down so that they can't fall off. For the rest of this mask, I'm going to be using a gold glue stick and then a glue gun, but on a low heat. The problem with glue guns which have a high heat is, apart from the fact that they come out of the gun much faster, is they tend to squish out and be a bit flatter than a glue which is on a lower heat setting, which makes it a lot easier for me to outline the mask like this if it's on a lower setting. Now with the same glue, I'm going to put this in a heat-resistant silicone mould, and I'm going to make a few more ivy leaves. I'm going to figure out where exactly I want them positioned on the side of the mask, but before I glue them down, I'm going to clip a little hole at the very end so that way, if I want to have something like a band which is going to hold the mask in place, I can easily put that in and I don't have to drill a hole into the mask. So now I'm going to glue them down with the first leaf, layer the bigger leaf over that, and then on the edge have the last leaf. For the other side of the mask, I'm going to repeat that process all over again. So with exactly the same mould that I've already used, I'm going to fill it up with hot glue. I'm also going to add a few more details on the leaf in the centre of the mask before I'm going to re-outline the mask, because I just want to layer it a bit more. And one of the easiest ways that I've found to layer the glue when it's on a low setting is hold it up a little bit further than where you want it to stick, so that way you get those neat layers and it doesn't squidge together too closely to the hot glue which is already underneath. And then that's it. You're done.